What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode, and today we're talking about the 5 supercharged cars you can purchase today under 10K. Bring it in. Let's talk about it. What's good, y'all? So, to be fair, if you really like cars like I do, I know if you've come to a conclusion one time or another, and you just thought about all types of different cars. You feel me? You thought about big cars, small cars, SUVs, compact SUVs, sedans, coupes, convertibles, all of these things, right? You thought about all of these different segments of cars, and you thought about the price. Like, yo, could I get into something like this? And even most of all, you thought about wanting to stand out, wanting to have something that nobody else got, right? So this is an opportunity for y'all to get into something that's tunable, that could be more so on a reliable standpoint. If you take care of it, keep up with it, that you could come out with, pull up on your friends and be like, yo, you ain't heard about this, or you ain't seen a lot of these, you see what I'm saying? And really be in a good car that's actually fun. Mind you, most of these cars are gonna be relatively rare today to come across, some more rare than others. But again, if you can get your hands on them, stupid cheap, you're gonna be in this car for less than $10,000. You can save some of that money to mod it, turn it up, do whatever you need to do. So without further ado, let's get into the list. Number 1, Pontiac Grand Prix GTP. Okay, so this car is a front wheel drive car. Unfortunately, I know, we gotta get it out the way. It's a front wheel drive car, but this car has a 3.8 liter V6 with 240 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. Mind you, these cars back then were not heavy. This is a 97 to 2003 we're talking about. These cars were not heavy back then. Cars were way more agile back then. And although it was a front wheel drive car, still very tunable, still be able to put a lot of power down, and it'll just be a fun car to have. Was it the best to look at? It really wasn't, I'll be honest with you. But a lot of the people that purchased this car, especially aftermarket, definitely put their spin on it and made sure they tuned it, lowered it, rims, wider rims at that, added a couple aftermarket interior things in the car that really made it stand out and useful in today's time. So with the money that you're saving to purchase a car like this is something that you could do. 0 to 60, 6.6 seconds. Yeah, it's not the quickest, but again, that's straight stop. Think about the money that you're saving and the money that you actually gonna put into this car once you pull up with it. You feel me? And mind you, this is still a relatively reliable car. Now, of course, if you have all original parts on it, yeah, you're gonna have to replace a lot of it because it's an older car. But these cars are still, relatively common as far as parts go, because the parts that they were using back at the time are still accessible in today's time. So you should be good, other than, the Pontiac name. The Pontiac has been long gone, but you don't really have to worry about that too much, because the parts that are for this car, they're gonna be relatively easier to find. So you really shouldn't have to worry too much about that. Issues you might run into: intake manifold, gaskets, high pressure steering hoses, and water pumps. But other than that, these cars were very reliable. And again, you'll still be able to find these parts, and you're probably gonna replace all the internal parts anyway once you get it, depending on the condition it is, because you're gonna wanna put power down. You see what I'm saying? So if you wanna put power down and you wanna do that, that's something you're gonna probably do. So you ain't gotta worry too much about that. That's number 1 on the list. And mind you, this is no order on the list, what's best and what's worst. It's just what I got. So follow me. Next, 2000 Jaguar XKR, right? XKR, 4 liter V8, 370 horsepower, and 387 pound-feet of torque. Now, I'll be honest, y'all, this car takes me back to my childhood. I don't know how old y'all is watching this or how young y'all is, but I grew up playing Need for Speed. And I never forget when the first Need for Speed came out that I had this car, and this car always just looked so crazy to me. This car is one of those cars that when you look at it, it has a personality in every segment. I don't even say segment. Every angle, this car has a personality. You look at the front of it, it's like it's saying something, aggression. You look at the back, it's like, yo, like, get up off my bumper. Like, it speaks to you. It's kind of crazy, you see what I'm saying? I think if you don't appreciate cars, you really can't understand what I'm saying. This is something that definitely stands out where you could actually look at it and be like, yo, nah, that kind of stand out. That's a little different, you feel me? So I think this is something that just looks-wise, you're going to stand out. It's going to be different. You're going to be like, damn, people going to see you pull up in this, like, yo, who is this? You know, where you get this from? And it still looks modern, believe it or not, to today's standards. Now, of course, the people who know, they're going to know what you got. They're going to know that it's old, but they're still going to respect it because it's a classic. Like, you can't go wrong with this, especially with the power, 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, and it's a rear-wheel drive car, so you can still have fun in it. It still looks modern. It's still very luxurious. It sounds good. Like, where can you go wrong? You see what I'm saying? Well, I can tell you where. And that's maintenance. Keeping up with it. Parts on this car are still going to be very expensive. So if you don't have any money saved up, yeah, it might not be the best purchase because you're still going to pay high quality or pay for high quality materials for this car to actually keep it up. But if you can do that, think about the money you saving on the front end. You could just put that money on the back end, keep this car on the road, keep it looking clean, keep it looking fresh. This might not be the most tunable engine, but it's still something that if you spend some money on, you could definitely make it quicker. You could definitely make it more reliable. So it's still something that is a good car to get in for the price. And again, it got a supercharger. It's gonna sound great. It's gonna look great. And this just could be your little weekend car. It could be a little something you just get in just to cruise around and just be different. Because nobody on the road is gonna have this. You see what I'm saying? And you could actually still get this in a lot of different areas. It's cheap, all of that. But a lot of people don't drive this on the road. You see what I'm saying? So if you can keep up with it and keep the parts in for it, you got a nice car in your hands. So be aware on that. Issues that can go wrong with it. They came with plastic time chain tensioners. Those could go wrong. Water pumps could go wrong. Thermostats, radiators, shock absorbers. These are all things that can go wrong with it. But again, if you're buying it from someone who really took care of it and just had it sitting for a lot of the times, a lot of these things won't be in that bad of condition, and you could just have time to get new parts for it, and whenever they go out, you can get rid of them, or, you know, if they're really on their way out anyway, you can replace them regardless. So just be wary on that. But again, very nice car, probably one of the best looking cars on this list, to be fair. All right, number 3, we're staying in the Jaguar family. 2004 Jaguar XJR. Now this is definitely more on the standpoint of if you have a family and you still want something that's fun, luxurious, and still look really good, and something that you may have wanted for a while, but you didn't feel like spending the top dollar for it, but now you getting it, you ain't spending nothing for it. You can get this car under 10K all day. 4.2 liter V8, 390 horsepower, 399 pound-feet of torque. So the power is there. Although this is a bigger car, the biggest car on this list, you still got a nice sounding engine. More of a relatively reliable engine, but still not the best. It's a Jaguar, so you already know how that goes. But again, like 0 to 60, 5.2 seconds, rear wheel drive. It's another car that's gonna be fun to drive. Very luxurious, even to today's standards. It's gonna give you a smooth ride. It's still gonna stand out and still look good. You may have seen more of these than the XKR, but still, a lot of people are not on the road in these today. So people see you pulling up in this, especially if it's in pristine condition, you're gonna stand out and you're gonna feel good doing it because it's still a clean car. It's a timeless design. The design is really clean. If you like this version of a Jaguar, and there's still aftermarket things you could do to make it look a little more modern and a little more sporty as well. Because really, this is a luxurious car that, you know, had a little kick to it with the supercharger to make it look quicker in a straight line. Again, you can make it look even better than that with some aftermarket assistance, and hey, you got a nice Jag again. That's quick, that sound good, V8, rear wheel drive. Do what you need to do in it. Issues you can face, torque converter issues, transmission programming, air suspension, compressor, and like coolant leaks. So not the craziest things, but again, you're still gonna face these things. And for these two Jaguars, like I mentioned before, you wanna definitely have some money set aside, just because these parts are gonna be a little more expensive to keep. And especially if you don't know how to work on Jaguars, that could be a red flag as well. But if you do, and it's not too much of an issue for you, definitely put some of that money aside. Spend a little money up front, a little more on the back end, but again, you got a cool, authentic car that no one else really got on the street. So I would recommend that. Next, this may be the rarest car on this list. It's a 2006 Chevy Cobalt SS Supercharged Coupe. Now, we've seen Chevy Cobalts all day, every day when they came out. You know, that was not rare by any means, but very, very rarely did we see an SS Supercharged. You could see an SS before the Supercharged version. You see what I'm saying? So the Supercharged version, super rare, 2-liter inline 4, 205 horsepower, 200 pound-feet of torque. This is definitely gonna be a fun car. Although it is front-wheel drive, you still can get it in the manual. Getting the manual 0 to 16, 5.9 seconds, not the quickest, but definitely not the slowest, even in today's standards. And again, this is a very tunable car. So you could definitely have a lot of aftermarket support for this car. There's a lot of different forms of people doing work on these cars, and a lot of people who've gotten big numbers from these cars. So this is something that you can take, put some money into. Parts are gonna be cheap as well. You know, reliability isn't gonna be bad, so you got a plus there, plus we're getting the parts anyway, and it has good aftermarket support. So you jump in one of these, like I said, very rare for the supercharged version of this segment of vehicle. So you jump in here, yo, people might be like, oh, I know that, I seen that car, but they don't know what's under the hood. They don't know, yo, this came from the factory like this, and now I just added little bits and pieces, but you ain't know they even made these, you know what I'm saying? So you could definitely stand out with, you know, some other car people who know about cars. They see that, you're like, oh, nah, you had to look hard for that. And I'll be honest, y'all, like, this right here, this is gonna be very tough for you to find. For the price, you still gonna get it under 10K if you could find it, but it's just finding it. The people who got this, they really not getting rid of it. They probably got it sitting somewhere collecting dust just as a collector's item, and or it's just totaled and it's done and they're not spending no money on it. So either or, but again, you really don't see these on the road at all. I can't even honestly say I've seen the supercharged version. I've seen the SS, but I don't know if I've seen this one in particular, so who knows. Issues that can happen, time and chain. There's not real too many issues on the supercharger version with this vehicle as far as I've seen, but of course every car has its issues. But again, reliability is still on the higher end, so be wary of that. And yeah, man, if you're looking to get in a little Chevy and mix it up, go copy one of those, or look for one at first. And if you get one, definitely jump on it. Last but not least, this is probably the least powerful car on the list, is a 2004 Mini Cooper S. So this is 1.6 liter inline 4, 163 horsepower, 155 pound-feet of torque. This is also a front-wheel drive car, like the Chevy Cobalt. Those are the two downsides of it, but hey, these are still two very moddable cars. And now with the Mini Cooper, what that has over the Cobalt is it's a little smaller, so it's a little more agile. You can have a little more fun with it. So knowing that, getting lower springs on it, you know, getting some wider tires, bigger wheels on there, you know, these are things that can definitely help the car's handling, help the car's speed, aftermarket engine stuff, you know, possibly new turbos, things like that. There's a lot of different aftermarket things you can do to this car as well. Make it quicker, make it more reliable, make it handle better, and make it more modern. You see what I'm saying? And you can get this in the manual. It only comes in the manual, so you can have this in the manual. Same thing with the Cobalt. Two manual cars, have fun with, pull up on people. Now again, Mini Coopers, they're more common, so people know about Mini Coopers, but you get the specific one that's good with the little supercharger, which is the one I mentioned, and you could definitely have some more fun than somebody in the regular one. You see what I'm saying? Interior is still relatively modern, And it's just a good place to be in as far as like having a little pocket rocket. You see what I'm saying? Whipping it here and there. These cars, not the greatest with reliability, but there's a lot of aftermarket support and a lot of parts to get for them, so it's not hard to get parts. Some issues you can run into is clutch failure, loose timing chains, power steering pump, coolant leaks, things of that nature. But again, it's not the worst, although it's not the best neither. But you're still in a relatively fun car for under 10K. You see what I'm saying? You could jump in this with a supercharger in it, you know, put a new exhaust on it, straight pipe it. Hey, you got a little sleeper build. You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of aftermarket support on these end forums as well, where you can get in and talk to people and they can put you on what they did with the car and you can do the same thing. So yeah, y'all, this is 5 supercharged cars under 10K. Let me know if you know people that got this car. Maybe you had one in the past, or if you never heard of none of these. You know, if I was looking and I was really trying to get one, me personally, just because it was some childhood thing for me, I would probably go with the 2000 Jag, the XKR, which is probably one of the more expensive ones to maintain other than the other Jag. But yeah, just to have that, I just love the look of it. It's just official to me. But y'all let me know what y'all would pick. Once again, 5 supercharged cars under 10K. If you like this video, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, and just like that, I'm out of here. Peace.